All right, everybody, welcome aboard here to the Sports Talk Nation. Michael Cohen here with you, and we are about to talk about some playoff baseball as the New York Yankees take care of the Cleveland Indians, sweeping them in 2 games, 10-9 last night in a game that ended at after 1 o'clock in the morning on October 1st. Here was a game that was, as we all know, was absolutely insane. Major League Baseball, of course, making the big mistake early on, a game that was supposed to start at 7 o'clock. They delayed it because of the threat of rain. And apparently there was no rain, and then at 7:50, when they actually took the tarp off, there was actually a monsoon, and we had another delay. So you had that on top of it. The Yankees falling behind 4-0 early in the game, and then eventually, this Yankee offense wakes up. Now, let's just take a look at these 2 games in retrospect. This was a series where the Yankee offense woke up in a big way, and for a team that throughout the course of this year has had a lot of issues offensively. A lot of players have taken the brunt of criticism from fans, like Gary Sanchez, like Giancarlo Stanton at times, even though Stanton was on the injury list for a long period of time. Aaron Judge spent a big chunk of the year on the injury list earlier this year as well. And a lot of these guys, Brett Gardner, also a guy who was hitting on the interstate earlier this year, a lot of these guys came up big in this series. And the Yankees as a team hit .307 in these 2 games, 7 home runs, 22 runs scored. It was a team-wide effort where basically anybody, 1 through 9 in this order, was hitting the baseball and hitting it in big spots in this series. And it's a Yankee, in a lot of ways, it is a miraculous turnaround because this was a team that had lost, 6 out of 8 coming into the postseason. And you're going into Game 1, going up against Shane Bieber, who is a AL Cy Young candidate, and the Yankees knock him around for 7 runs in 4 innings as they win that game 12-3. And of course, the big standouts in that game being, of course, DJ LeMahieu with a couple of big hits. Luke Voigt had a couple of big hits. Those are your 2 big guys. But you also had the guys on the bottom of the order. Gleyber Torres, big night, going 4 for 4 with 3 runs scored and 3 RBIs. And then Gardner, who I mentioned earlier, had the first of what would be 2 big nights, 3 hits in Game 1. He drove in 3 in that game, and that really started to signify that this was a Yankee team that's ready to turn things around, and that continued, of course, into Game 2. Now, of course, if you're a Yankee fan, you got to be nervous, okay? You're sitting there, you're down 4-0. Major League Baseball, as I mentioned at the top of the video, screwed things up with the weather. It doesn't look good. It looks like we are heading towards Game 3 and the potentiality of J. Happ, not exactly the guy you want on the mound in a key spot, in a winner-take-all game, potentially in a Game 3 that would have been played this evening. But the Yankees chipped away. You have the big home run by Giancarlo Stanton, his 2nd of the series, and that really got the ball rolling for the Yankees. And then, of course, with the bases loaded, Gio Urshela with the grand slam, pitched down low in the zone, and he just took it and lifted it right into left field. Kind of the same kind of pitch in the same area that we saw the Gleyber Torres home run in Game 1, where he just basically took it off the foot of the plate and deposited it into the left field stands. Gives the Yankees the 5-4 lead, and as we saw in this game, was back and forth. Not a lot of good pitching on either side of this. A lot of walks by both of these teams. Both the Indians and the Yankees combined to walk 19 hitters. So if you were hoping for a clean, well-pitched game, this was not it. That's a big reason why this game went on for nearly 5 hours, which was apparently the longest game in postseason history, if you want to believe that, considering we've seen Yankee-Red Sox games go on for hours, for that matter. We even had the Dodgers-Astros World Series Game 3 that went on for seemingly forever, but this one, 4 hours and 50 minutes between the Yankees and the Indians. But you got to give this Yankee team a lot of credit, because even though the Indians came back on them a couple of times, and all the way down to the their base, to the end of the ball game, with Cleveland on top by a score of 9-8, this team did not give in, and I think that's a big part of how dangerous this Yankee team is. We knew they could be this dangerous going into the postseason, and how much more dangerous they could be the rest of the way through. You get the walk by Stanton, big at bat, he works on a walk. Urshela gets a base hit. Torres reaches on an infield single, and then, of course, you get the huge sac fly from Gary Sanchez. Sanchez had 2 RBIs on the night. And again, this is a guy much maligned, had a terrible season, hit 147 on the year. He had a huge game, and give him credit. That was a big at bat because you don't want Gary Sanchez in that situation there, game on the line in the ninth inning. You're thinking, well, this is probably not going to end too well. You just had Gardner strike out. Now you got Sanchez up the plate, but he does get the sac fly, drives in the run, ties the ball game, and then of course your MVP, a guy who has been the Yankee MVP for now 2 years running here, in DJ LeMahieu, getting the base hit into center field, drives in the go-ahead run, and the Yankees take the 10-9 lead. And of course, as we all know, would go on to win by that score of 10-9. So it was this entire series, as I said at the top, a real awakening, especially from the offensive standpoint. Everybody contributed in a big way. And this is why the Yankees going forward, who now take on the Tampa Bay Rays in San Diego, I'll get into more in that in a minute, are going to be a really big time threat. And the Rays, of course, took care of business yesterday as well, taking care of the Toronto Blue Jays. They swept that series. But these are two teams that know each other very well. The Blue Jays, the Rays rather, Tampa Bay Rays, pounded on the Yankees during the regular season. And these two teams do not like each other. And this is going to be a tight nail-biter of a series for 5 games. And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And the way this Yankee team is hitting, they are a true threat if they find a way to beat this Tampa Bay Ray team to get to the World Series. And in fact, I don't think it's by any stretch of the imagination to sit here and say definitively. And I know you've got a situation where you got the Houston Astros, the A's, and even the White Sox. A's and White Sox, as we're still taping this, are still playing right now. But the two best teams right now in the American League are Tampa Bay and the New York Yankees. And one of those teams, I would imagine, is going to represent the American League in the World Series. Now, playing in San Diego is going to be very strange. Obviously, this is all related to COVID-19. Major League Baseball putting forward a bubble situation here for their postseason. You have postseason games in Arlington. You have postseason games in Houston, San Diego, and LA. This is where these bubbles will be held for the American League and National League playoffs. And the Yankees and Rays will be playing in San Diego. It's just going to be so strange. No fans in the building is one thing. But to see these two teams fly all the way across the country just to play the series, it's going to be a strange sight. But still, I think we're going to be seeing a fun series. I think it's going to be a very tight series. And it's a series, if you're the Yankees, you got to pitch a lot better if you're going to beat this Tampa Bay Rays team. We know it all starts with Garrett Cole, who's easily the best pitcher on this baseball team. But aside from Cole, it's going to have to be the other guys that have to step up. Tanaka has to step up. J. Happ has to step up. Montgomery has to step up. They all have to step up. But of course, it all begins and ends with Garrett Cole, who is the key to what the Yankees can do in the divisional playoff series against Tampa. For example, look at this Rays team, what they did yesterday against the Blue Jays. A very good Blue Jays lineup. They shut them down for 2 straight games. Tyler Glasnow held them just 2 runs over 6 innings. Struck out 8. That bullpen, fantastic job. Didn't give up only 1 hit in their three innings of combined relief. So their bullpen certainly well rested compared to the Yankee bullpen, which at times was mismanaged by Aaron Boone in this game yesterday. And let's be honest, it isn't the same bullpen that we've gotten used to over the last couple of years. Obviously, no Tommy Kahnle because of the Tommy John surgery doesn't help. But you have to be nervous when you have guys like Jonathan Loáisiga, who got hit hard yesterday. Zach Britton got hit hard yesterday. It was not a great sight. Of course, Chad Green has been hit up all year for that matter. Now, in the 10 games these two teams played, Tampa Bay won 8 out of 10. So they dominated the Yankees in the time they saw them during the regular season. Does that mean it's going to translate into the postseason? We will see. You never know with these kind of series, for that matter. Remember 5 years ago when the Mets took on the Cubs in the NLCS, the Cubs had dominated the Mets in the regular season. Mets swept them out of the playoffs. You go back to 1988, for example, and again, another Met reference for you. The Mets dominated the Dodgers that year. Dodgers beat them in the playoffs. even the Yankees and Red Sox. Yankees, of course, won that series, regular season series in 2004. But the Red Sox came back, as we all know, and beat them in the ALCS. So you never know with postseason baseball. It's a totally different animal. But, and like I said, it's going to be a great series to watch. So Yankees win. They move on. We are just moving right along here with some postseason baseball. We're going to do it. Of course, we're not done talking about this series. We're going to have a couple special guests on the next week when the series kicks off, and as we go through the series, and we're going to talk about that with them. So keep it right here, folks, to the Sports Talk Nation. Remember to like and subscribe right here to this video, and subscribe to the Sports Talk Nation. We'll talk to you next time. Also, follow us online at facebook.com/OpenMicProgram and at OpenMicNJ on Twitter. Take care.